With Certified Health Nut, Troy, Casey. We're going live and we're doing a bit of a podcast. So stay tuned, tune in. We're going to be answering questions from the audience. This is going to be a summation of his journey down here to visit us with Human Garage. So again, if you have questions, if you want to talk, or even if possible you want to come up, just let us know in the comments. And write down today something that's you're feeling. Are you feeling motivated? Are you feeling slow? What is your day like? And put that in the comments. Also give us a bunch of likes and send it off to a friend or two. Okay, we're just going to be setting up here and you guys are going to watch behind the scenes kind of.
Okay, you got it both on camera?
Yep.
We're both framed perfectly?
Framed perfectly. All
Woo!
right,
I
ready?
love it.
All right, here we go. Going live.
Okay, let me know when it's popped up there.
1, live there.
Psycho chickens of cyberspace, it's Troy Casey reporting.
This one says rotate device or change stream orientation in advanced settings.
Oh God. Turn that one off.
This is all the fun part. Yeah, so we are getting
That really pisses me off. Okay.
this is really behind the scenes.
In advanced settings. I don't know why it does that. Horizontal. There we go.
So if you're a fan of Troy, Casey, and Certified Health Nut, just put it in there, put it in the comments. If you guys have been watching his journey since he's been down here, put it in the comments. Anything that you think. It's always the best part. This is, and yesterday, I needed to get off the camera yesterday. I don't know if you guys noticed. I was tired. It felt like a train was running over me. And no apparent reason for it. Slept lots, but that's the astrology. And today is the step 10 day. So it's all about manifestation today. It's all about making stuff happen. And this is the day that we're talking about Troy's journey and what he's experienced.
Press that thing and get another frame.
All right.
You ready?
Here we are. Still setting up.
3, 2, 1.
3, take thumbnail. 3, 2.
Got it?
Got it?
Okay.
Now it's ready to go live.
Yeah, he's just like me, a little bit on the crazy side.
Healing with Human Garage in Cancun. Okay, that one looks pretty ready to go. Is that
Behind the
There we go.
scenes.
You can try and get close. Just make sure we're both in frame.
Okay, perfect.
So, okay, ready?
You ready? 2, 1. You're live. You're live.
Okay. Hey, it's Troy Casey, Certified Health Nut, Super Psycho Chicken of cyberspace, here in planet Earth. And today we are with Garry from the Human Garage. I've been down here for a week with my team, healing myself, healing my team, going through the fascial maneuvers, which we'll cover soon. So in an effort to bring you more fun, freedom, and phenomenon, we've got the Human Garage today. Today's show is sponsored by Everbalm, skincare customly made for Troy Casey on the commercial market for you guys. Everbalm.com.
Works great. I've been using it.
So look, it's the color of plant pigments, not white. If it's white, it's not right. And it smells amazing.
Oh yeah, it smells amazing. I've been using it. It's actually really, really, really good.
I've been using it for 6 years, and it is amazing. And so Everbalm.com. And so today we're talking about Human Garage, fascia maneuvers. I've been Rolfed hundreds of times. I've been working on my yoga, qigong, mobility, stability, strength, movement practices, for the better part of the last 30 years. I've been getting a lot of massage for the last 2 decades and working on less restriction, more mobility, more ease and grace. And I got to tell you that the older I get, and I was exposed to black mold, I've experienced weirdo arthritis, and a lot of weirdo stuff, and Gary's going to talk a little bit about the weirdo stuff because it's affecting everyone. And so I came down here, and so we're going to cover mineralization, we're going to cover fascia maneuvers, we're going to cover my healing experience. I'm in Cancun. I'm here for a week, and then I go over to Beyond. You guys followed me last year. I went over to Beyond. We went to dinner with them the other day. And so this is a big healing experience. And so I got here, and Garry did some work on me. And the fascia maneuvers he's taught me, it's not about anyone working on you. It's about you healing yourself. You doing your own work and healing yourself, which makes sense because you don't want to be dependent on something outside of yourself, an exogenous component. And so I came down here to learn the maneuvers for myself, to help other people, to teach it, to learn it, to integrate it. Because for me, everything is about integration. Everything is about results. And so results never lie. And so Garry worked on me the first couple of days. It's actually kind of a blur. Coming down into the tropics has its own component. It's very moist here. It's very warm. I had my family and my team with me, so I had a lot going on mentally. And then Garry worked on me, and I think that moved some of the energy. And then you worked on me the next day, and then I went through a healing reaction that lasted 3 days, and I thought I was going to go home early. So we're going to talk all about that. Let's start out with Garry and introduce Garry to the audience. Garry, can you tell us who you are, what your name is, a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into the fascia maneuvers.
Yeah, I mean, Troy, the background is just like you. I try to solve my own issues. I've been trying to heal my body for 30 years. 20 years, spent millions of dollars with practitioners all over the world, in every discipline you can imagine, and then finally became a practitioner. Ran a clinic in Southern California in Venice for just under a decade. In that clinic, we had up to 52 practitioners of every discipline you can imagine. And we were at the top of the level, repairing Olympic athletes, professional athletes, celebrities. And the one thing that I was good during those clinic years, but I had to have care. And if I left my care, even for a short period of time, I'm not feeling good again. And there had to have been a better answer. The pandemic gave us the ability to test out these beliefs on fascia, these new ways of looking at it. And I didn't have anybody to work on it.
Yeah, because I was in Venice and I was connected to them loosely because you guys used to go to lunch at Air One every day.
Yeah.
And I see the Human Garage shirts and I'm like, what's the Human Garage? That sounds like a great brand. What do you guys do? And so eventually they started inviting me over.
Yeah.
And then I moved away.
Yeah.
And I did an event just before I moved away. We taught Qigong on the roof. And then everything changed during the pandemic. And then I saw you pop up again on social media.
Yeah.
So go ahead, finish the story.
Well, I think the idea is that we took a set of beliefs that we had about fascia in the body, and we decided to live those beliefs. And we had nothing else to do but to do that. So we worked daily on these fascial maneuvers, and our bodies began to heal. I mean, my body, for the first time in my entire adult life, well, since I was 13 years old, I've been without a practitioner caring for me for now 4 years. But every other part of my life, every other day of my life, I've had a practitioner 1 to 3 to 5 times a week for every day of my life. And that was, exactly.
Me too. I mean, I've invested all my money in my health
Yeah.
over the last 20, 30 years. So let's back it up a little bit. What's fascia?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we're born in fascia. When a sperm and an egg come together, they create a ball of plasma, which is fascia. And the muscle-skeletal system that we know is grown in fascia. So our bones are fascia, our brains are fascia, our organs are fascia. It's all connected. It's interwoven. It's the only thing that cannot be extracted from the human body. You can cut out every nerve, every gland, every organ, but you can't take fascia out. So we are, in fact, fascia. But we've treated fascia as a coating or as a wrapping around of a muscle or tissue, but that's just not fundamentally true.
Like a lighter ligament or something like that.
It's been...
But it's more like fiber optics for biophotonic light through the human body?
Supercomputer. Our fascia has 100 trillion nerve endings, where our brain only has 100 billion nerve endings. So the fascia has its own brain called the interstitium, which then makes us think more like our body's a computer, and our brain is actually a processor that's just running programs. And
so let me ask you a question. Where did that statistic come from with 100 trillion cells? Because my understanding, fascia, like the gut microbiome, was almost non-existent or unheard of in science a decade or two ago.
well, I mean, the scientific research was done decades ago, but not
Okay.
published.
Okay.
And if you just Google fascia has an interstitium, or the new brain, or fascia, the new organ, you'll see all kinds of research that came up from a series of research papers that started to explain to us that the fascia is more than we thought it was. And I mean, there's been a malevolent attempt to keep us stupid.
Dumbed down.
Yeah, dumbed down. And the education around...
Fat, sick, and nearly dead.
Fat, sick, and nearly dead. The education around the human body is specifically around a muscle-skeletal, brain-dominant, nerve-generating body. But that's just not how our body works. And in the clinical environment, at the top, dealing with professional athletes and celebrities like this, but the athletes specifically, is we couldn't reproduce these events statistically to try and understand the body. And we just kept coming up against things where people would say, that's just how the body is. And I'm like, that's not how it is. There's a reason why everything happens in our bodies. And science didn't have a lot of answers for that. And I'm not even saying that we have the answers. I'm saying that we have a story about fascia today that works better than the one that we did.
Well, it's almost like you have a premise that human beings, well, I mean, the premise that I have is like, we can do much better than this.
Yes.
Human beings are extremely powerful.
Yes.
We are ultimately light beings. We come from light. We are light. We're the most advanced piece of equipment in the entire universe, according to some of my Maori friends who've been on the earth for many times and understand their bloodlines way back. And we're just not living to our potential. It's like we've been turned off, or the fall, or
Yes.
whatever you want to call that. And so the premise is that we can go far beyond where we're at.
Well, we have 50 trillion cells. I mean, there's some arguments about that. Somebody's saying 38 trillion, but irrespective of the number, we have a voltage charge of 1.4 volts per cell. At 50 trillion cells, that's 70 trillion volts of electricity. We are not working anywhere close to our potential. And
I am. No.
and our bodies are dumbed down by simple beliefs and premises.
Well, I think that's what people look at me and they're like, "Oh, what are you on?" Or and I look at vitality in people out there in the world, and what I look at, and I also use this term. I like the toilet bowl and the mirror better than I do the blood test and the DNA test. Why? Because you can visually see that, and people argue with me that it's more like, "Oh, well, but if you're on steroids and you look good." No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the spark, the electricity, the vibrancy,
You see it in the eyes.
the biophotonic light in
Yes.
the eyes, the skin, the hair, and the nails. It's like an auric field, if you will.
Well, lab testing is a little bit disingenuous. I mean, we base all this around science, but we have millions of proteins in our body that run all the functions, but we only know what 5,000 of them actually do. So how is it that in any consciousness that we can say, knowing 5,000 out of millions, how is it that we can say that we actually really understand the human body? So the basic premise of what we're doing is this, is we have a set of observations. We've been able to do stuff with the human body through fascial maneuvers or fascial work that doesn't have an explanation in science. So what we're doing is we're observing the changes. So we have something that works in practice, but it didn't have a theory. So we're creating our own theory. And I'm okay with the fact that I'm completely wrong. Mm-hmm. My way of describing it describes better what you were going through like this week yourself than the current way of describing it. And that's what science is. It's being willing to get out there and explore and use results finally as the baseline, not a scientific research paper. Because at the end of it, science can be manipulated by any measure. But you said it, the way you show up, the look in your eyes, do you look healthy? Are you vibrant? Do you feel good? Because a lot of times people, they measure healthy on a lab test, but they don't feel healthy and they don't look healthy.
Correct.
This is what we're doing here. We're looking at how do I feel? How do I look? What does that actually show up like?
So let's go through my healing process
Sure.
this week. And so I approach anything that I deal with a bit of skepticism. I'm here. I'm going to go to the ibogaine clinic again this week, but I was here in March, and I was very skeptical of that as well. So I came here. Garry worked on me a couple of times, and I was like, oh, okay,
And also, to be clear, what I did with you is the partner maneuvers, the ones that are on our website that anybody can do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do anything outside of that different. Like I didn't do something that's magical. I do have some things that I can do outside of that, but I gave you exactly what you would get if you went to our website and you downloaded or you went through the partner maneuvers and you did it with somebody else.
Right. And it didn't feel like much to me, a guy who's done yoga or taken this class or gotten
Right.
hour of massage or
Right.
hour and a half or 2 hour massage. You didn't go that deeply into my quadratus laborum, but within 2 days, I started to have a backache that, not only a backache, but a fever. And I became, sick, detoxing, sick.
Yeah.
Depends on if you're into germ theory or terrain theory. Coughing up the, what I like to call the frequency or chemtrail sickness. Whatever's in me was coming out. And for 3 days, I felt really bad. I wanted to go home. And and so that was my experience. And you didn't work on me, or we didn't do the maneuvers for more than, I would say, 30, 40 minutes.
Correct.
Like, we didn't do much work.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to come down here and get a whole education and a little bit, we'd be talking about and understanding it a little bit more, but I did get a whole education. In that 30 or 40 minutes, the way my body unwound, because I'm almost 60, I've got some tightness around my quadratus laborum, my lower back, and I've been trying to loosen that up for a while, and it's gotten more intense, and I've had some interesting arthritis. Bottom line is when in 3 days, because yesterday we went to Chichen Itza and the Mayan temples, which I love down here. We went into the jungle, and I walked about 10 miles. Like, I felt really good, like better than I felt in a while. And I still feel a little bit of the sickness, and there's some phlegm coming out of me. And the fever I sweat out last night as well. So that's like 4 days of detoxing.
Yeah, from a couple minutes of work. Because all of our tension, stress, and trauma is
Compressed. It's got you motherfuckers
compressed.
just fucking compressed. Can you feel the pressure, baby?
Yeah, it's compressed in our fascial tissue. In our fascial tissue, think about like trauma as like you have your computer and you have your hard drive, and you have a zip file. Trauma is like a zip file that keeps getting reinforced. And what we're doing is opening up that zip file. So you have a whole bandwidth, you have a whole hard drive. You open up a zip file, and then it's full. That's what trauma is in our fascial tissue. And what we did is we opened that up, and then your body has a couple days to process it through water, movement, breath, phlegm, whatever.
I couldn't move. My quadratus laborum, you saw me, Tracy. I had the man flu. I was like, help me. I was like incapacitated. And I felt really frustrated because here I am in another country on vacation with a bunch of other people. I felt a little embarrassed, right? I felt like, and then I started making my exit plan home, and I wasn't going to go to the ibogaine clinic as well. And so it was a very interesting process, and thank God that I started to feel better. And now, like, I have that buoyancy. The arthritis that I've been feeling for the last couple of years, whether you call it comes from the black mold, I don't care what you call it, it's abated.
It's calcification.
I don't feel it in me.
So it's calcification of the fascia. That's the dirty word. It's because the fascia is calcified due to environmental toxins. We get stress, death by 1,000 cuts. We've got poisons and toxins in our food. It's in our care products. It's in the air that we breathe. And over time, it calcifies the fascia. So it's the fascia that's not moving, and it's restricting the joints, and then it's compressing, bringing those joints closer together. And if you leave that long enough, your bones are going to grow together. That is what arthritis is. But the first stage of that is the fascia around it restricts, because if I restrict your shirt, it restricts your ability to move through that range of motion, both muscles and bones. I let it go, and then it can move. So the fascia is what restricts first, and then your bones and your muscles and your joints are restricted, and then eventually you start settling in, and the calcification moves its way into the bones, and then the bones get compressed, and then that's when you start getting fusing. But it starts off here, because if you call it arthritis, then what do you have right now? Because arthritis is a disease of the bones. But you can move right now, so it's not arthritis, it was calcification. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to move right now.
I mean, the bottom line is I feel better.
Yeah.
So, and I look forward to feeling
And
better.
also, because I was delivering it to you from a partner perspective, most people come into fascial maneuvers and they start with the basic resets on our website. They go to a 28-day reset where they're coached and guided. It's all free of charge. And they could go through that slowly, but you got 3 to 6 months, probably more like 6 months because I was doing it, worth of work in 30 minutes. And that's where all the toxins started coming out, because I was pushing your body within that period of time to release all of the toxins in the fascia. And it takes 3 days. It's always 3 days to then move it out. So that hard drive, basically the trauma, whether it's emotional, physical trauma, it still comes out of the body into the nervous system, and then the body processes it. And you remember that day 2 you were feeling really bad, and I came over and I just was doing some breathing with you. I was basically doing a fascial organ reset, which is on our YouTube. And I didn't touch you, but you felt better right afterwards. Like I wasn't physically doing it. What I was doing was fascia is biophotonic. It's that electricity, but our fascia is a crystal. I mean, we're 70% water, 25% silica, sand, and bacteria and viruses and all these cells in there. But basically, we're sand and water, we're a quartz crystal. So what I was doing was opening up in different areas of that quartz crystal with a fascial organ reset and rebalancing your energy. And then that way you felt a little bit better and could move forward. And these are all things, again, that you could do by yourself. My whole journey was I didn't want anybody to do it for me. I was sick and tired of having practitioners being reliant upon them. Even in my own clinic, I got to the point where I get an adjustment in the morning and I needed one in the afternoon. I didn't want to go back to the same doctor because I didn't want them to think that I didn't appreciate what they did earlier. So, I mean, it's this weird conundrum, right? And I could now take care of myself. I don't need anybody else for anything. And that was the journey. And if I have somebody else help me, it just speeds up my process.
Well, I mean, I feel very grateful. I mean, it was a good experiment. You know, you never know what happens when you collaborate. But it was a great experiment to come down here to experience this. I can only encourage you guys to try it out. Hopefully you don't have as much of a Herxmer reaction, or maybe not, hopefully.
Most people don't. I mean, like, they get
Well,
it
if you're
over-
doing it by yourself, I can't imagine.
It happens over
trying
the
to figure it out.
The 28-day reset is meant to balance it, but then you have online classes, you have also emotional support, because you're going to release trauma in that too. So that happens all there, and they can sign up and they can do it globally with people. Like right now, I think there's 5,000 people doing it together at the same time, and then this next one will be somewhere around 10 or 15,000 people. So there's classes that you can go to, and we also we recommend supplements and support and movement so that you can move it through faster. Now, I want to just say supplements are not required, with the exception of silica, diatomaceous earth, and sea moss, because those are extracted out of us because of the chemical load in our body. And right now, we can't process the proper. People are doing everything right, and you know they're doing everything right, but they're still not feeling okay.
Feeling okay. They're not looking okay. When
Right.
I go out in the public, me and Barbara are always commenting. It's rare that we find, healthy specimens. And you're right.
Even with the health leaders,
Totally.
they're the worst that I find. They don't look okay. They don't look good today. They looked good 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, but today, not so much.
The bioaccumulation of whatever the hell is happening, and just the energy, the stress factors. But again, that deadness in people's skin, their hair, their nails, their vitality, their wit.
Yeah, what do you think about it? Because touching us is like touching me. It's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're completely supple like a baby.
I mean, like a baby. It's weird. I mean, it feels weird to me sometimes. I touch my body.
I live in Scottsdale. Everybody's injected with steroids and TRT, and I see all these old rigid guys, and they just look rigid.
Yeah, that was me. And
It's like, how are you going to solve life's problems at the end of life if you're like this?
You know, it's funny because we've had for the first time in human history, we've had enough time. I competed in the 80s, and I went national in the 80s to go pro. And the 70s is where this started. It's the first time in human history where we can see the effects of a specific action on the body without going into the second and third generation. And what we see is the people that were a generation before me in bodybuilding, none of them are healthy today. And so applying muscle the way that we did didn't work. Like, we know it didn't work, but we still have a culture that believes that that's what's healthy. And that's what you're breaking down. You're breaking down that it's not muscle. It's about being able to move and live your life. And muscle restricts movement over time.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? So you guys are at humangarage.net.
Yeah. Or any of our social media channels.
And Gary's live most days.
5 days a week.
And
2 years running, beginning for 2 years.
5 days a week. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why is that it's like you remember that movie I Am Legend with Will Smith, and they have that radio beacon out there, and it says I'm going to be here every day at this point. That's what we're doing because
Right.
the world between now and July 20th, the world's going into physical crisis, and we see it right now. We get millions of contacts a month, millions, and we get thousands and thousands of questions a week. We have a team of people that answer them. And we're starting to see this trend of people getting sicker and sicker and sicker very fast. And right now, this is a time for you and for me and for people like that to stand up and start actually really getting out in front of people and helping them.
So in saying that, what is Human Garage's stated mission?
We directly impacted 1 billion people last year, and we are directly impacting to have 1 billion people do this practice by the end of 2024. And we have about 20 million people doing this, but really our mission is to help you learn that to believe that the body heals itself, and give you the tools to do so. And to do it by removing all barriers and boundaries. So all of our education and programs is actually free of charge. And we support ourselves through supplement sales that we have, or through specialized courses. But you can go from zero to become a practitioner without ever having to pay a dime. You just have to help other people. And that's really a pay it forward model. That's what we want.
Can you talk a little bit more about is it 50,000 pounds of pressure? And I know that the fascia in general has 2,000 pounds of tensile strength. Can you talk a little bit about those factoids?
Sir, your fascia, you have 14.7 pounds per square inch of pressure on your body. So aggregate is about 2,000 pounds of pressure, meaning that you have a balloon that's got 2,000 pounds of pressure. Well, you got 2,000 pounds of pressure internally to match it. Either that or you would implode or explode. You know that when you deflate a lung, you poke it to bring it back up. The pressure is pretty vicious. Well, if you ever listen to somebody who's torn a quad or a pec, it sounds like somebody shoots a gun when you tear a quad. They bang, really loud. And the fascia has its break point at the same point the steel does, which is 50,000 pounds of pressure. And if we grow naturally, we can grow to 600-700 pounds, and we can grow this wide without ripping or tearing our fascia. But if it's exerted under force, it will immediately fight back to hold structure. Fascia is our structure. And the way that we see fascia work is it's concentric.
So the bones in the musculoskeletal system's not the structure?
No, I mean, none of the bones in the body touch except for the teeth, the rib cage, and the ears. And so none of the bones in the body touch except for the teeth, the rib cage, and the ears. So structure is what touches. Explain the knee joint. Between the knee joint, you got meniscus. That's not structure. It's not holding it up. If it touches it, it rips. The muscles that cross the knee is only one. It's about this big. That's not holding it up. Tendons keep it from pulling apart. The only thing that's left after that is skin and fascia. Fascia is the structure. And we were taught that the bones are structure, which makes us make a lot of decisions about the human body and how it works, which are just not correct. And with fascia having a break point of 50,000 pounds, it takes a lot of force to tear and rip your fascia. It means if you're going to get a tear in your body, if you have like a hernia, there's a lot of force that had to go into that hernia. It had to be dehydrated, number one, so it's not supple anymore. Because if it's supple, you got a lot of space to move. And it has to be contracted, but fascia can contract through emotions. If I'm angry, my body's tight. If I move and exert myself through that anger, I'm going to actually create some force in the body that's not good. If I do that over a long period of time, it creates wear patterns. And then eventually, the fascia can break or rip or tear. But fascia
snapped Achilles tendon.
Snap. Yes, that's a lot of fear. Achilles tendon that's your bladder murder. That's all about fear. That's why a lot of fighters have it, because they're processing fear or the opposite of fear, which is confidence, and they're constantly doing this. So it's time. Fascia can contract based upon an emotional presence. So it's time for us to realize that emotions and actually even further, before you move your body, before the brain connects to the muscles and the nerves and moves, you have to have an emotion called the desire. So energy, emotion moves the body. The brain coordinates these systems to make that movement smooth and fluid. But emotion is what moves the body. And further on top of that, emotion is highly affected by perception. Like if I was to tell you that your daughter died and you believe me, your whole body goes into shock. I tell you 10 minutes later that she didn't, it was somebody else with the same name, then your body comes out of shock. But the only thing that changed was perception. And perception is the highest state of awareness, and we just don't deal with it. We want facts and science, but facts and science alter perception. It doesn't actually help perception. It changes it, usually to a negative point of view. So the idea is to do what you do, is to think healthy, feel healthy, perceive that I'm healthy. What I've noticed about you is that you have a good positive attitude that you want to drive forward. And you work and you live with that attitude. That is the strongest attributes to health. And by the way, clinically, after doing 50,000 lab tests on people, I can tell you that the people that are healthy statistically, when you look at all the measures, including genetics, subclinical, and clinical, the ones that are healthy consistently aren't the ones that are lean. They're not the ones that are ripped, not the ones that look healthy. They're the ones that are happy. Consistently.
Hey Troy, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
While you were detoxing, were you doing urine therapy?
Yes, I did urine therapy basically every day that I was here.
Yeah, I mean, I do it every day. Do you do it every day?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, without fail, I go once in a while where I'll take a couple of days off, but I do it every day, at least once.
Yeah, sometimes I don't have a cup readily available.
So
or
detoxing
something.
is not a bad thing, though. It's like people have this perception that you're sick when you're not. Detoxing is the highest state of awareness, and then when you open up the fascia, you have all of this new stuff that was, like for example, the average person, because of the chemicals in the sky, have barium, strontium, aluminum in their tissue. You can get a hair sample, and then you can find that, but it's not in their blood. It's not what's showing in their blood, but not in the elevated levels. But
Yeah, your blood panels are healthy. You're healthy. It doesn't matter if you feel like you're dying.
Well, think about blood. Here's one. Think about blood as being a speedometer. You're going 50, I'm going 50, they're going 50. That's one measurement.
Right.
But if my engine's running at 9,000 RPM and yours running at 3,000 RPM, eventually one of us is going to look different.
Right.
So blood is the least effective way to determine health. It can tell you how close you are to death. That's it. And so using blood to measure health is not effective. Using how hard are your organs working, these are subclinical panels, is what medicine's starting to come to. But I mean, this is part of the human garage process, even up to 15 years ago.
Well, do you think we covered it all, ladies?
I'm good. Pretty good.
Any questions on there at all?
There's been a few come through. What's the frequency of urine? Do you know?
Let me pull that right out of my ass.
I don't even know.
There's that crazy coconut.
I don't know.
The frequency of urine? I don't know, but
First of all, it's urine.
Even though-
Let's take one thing.
Yeah.
One thing. Everybody says that it's all my detoxing the urine, but that's not true. Most of your
Yeah, I
toxins
like
don't.
that. Tell me the statistics that you
So,
told me the first day I was here. Only 3%.
70%.
This is a good one because everyone, you're drinking your waste.
70% of your toxins go out of your mouth. So if you don't want to get your toxins, don't breathe your own breath and don't breathe other people. 27% of your toxins go out through your defecation and your sweat.
So you mean your lungs out of your mouth?
Yeah,
Or your nose?
lungs.
Or
Yeah.
lungs, right.
Because that's where we lose 70% of our water. That's why if you breathe more effectively, you keep more water. That's why diaphragmatic breathing, you keep more water in your body. And then 27% goes out through defecation and through sweat, which a good portion goes out through sweat. Only 3% of it goes out through our urine. I mean, you can test for it.
And those are metabolites.
That's right.
So it's not specific toxins.
Right. And so the urine is a bladder. That bladder holds the water in there so that it can recycle. But since we consume so much water, it has to purge the excess. Now, when we go to sleep at night, the body develops all these hormones to heal, and that's in our urine, and that signaling is in our urine. Like for example,
You guys go to the doctor to get your steroids. I go to my cup in the morning. Just drink it up.
It really is because you go at nighttime and in the morning you urinate it out. You have to rebuild all of those hormones throughout the day again, which takes energy.
No wonder everyone's looking pretty old and fat, sick, and nearly dead out there.
Like people ask, how much water do I drink? Typically, 2, maybe 3 glasses a day. It's not about how much water you drink; it's about how much you keep. And right now, people are demineralized. If you're not taking, there's no way that I have found in any of the major countries in the world to be healthy if you're not taking silica exogenously, taking it in right now, because there's a constant intrusion. We're breathing air that depletes it every day. And if we have silica, we can absorb that, which is an element, we can absorb the minerals. If we absorb the minerals, we can absorb the water and then process the hormones. But without the silica, everything starts to fall apart. That's really the Achilles heel that people have.
And Garry was talking about diatomaceous earth. You can get pennies for the dollar. They have it on diatomaceousearth.com.
Yeah.
Purium has the formula skin, hair, and nails with the he, she, woo, hoshu, woo.
Which is really good.
Horsetail and bamboo is in there as well, which is good for the silica. And so, and you want to get as much nutrient-dense materials as you could possibly source anywhere.
That's why we recommend Irish sea moss, because even if you're growing completely organically today, the soil composition no longer has the mineral base in it. It's not being replenished, because if those chemicals are in the sky, they're raining down on the soil too. So it has the same effect on the soil, the terrain, as us. So this is why exogenously taking silica, and we want people to not, like we have supplements, but we don't encourage long-term supplement use. Food products differently. What we encourage is people to get that into delivery mechanisms. Like with Purium, you've got a lot of shakes and drinks, which you become habituated into the process of consuming something. And the hormones that are fired through the food hit the save button on your nervous system, because you can't habituate a pill. And you want your body, like when you eat a chicken wing, you're already salivating, you're already creating all of the enzymes you need when you think about it. Well, you want your body doing that with your supplements as well. And that's...
Yeah, but you and I have the same belief. I think the future of humanity is we take in the biophotonic light, we take in the oxygen, the water through the oxygen. I mean, I just walked through the jungle.
Yeah.
I did 10 miles on the beach.
What a different way.
Oh my God. I mean, so healing. One day in the Yucatan.
Yeah. It was perfect for what you just went through too.
It was, oh my God.
Did you notice after we did the work, by the way, did you notice emotional spikes? Releases like anger, sadnesses, or frustrations?
Yeah. I mean, I had some frustrations when I was sick because it brought up that type of thing.
Yeah, and that's normal. And then when you walk through the jungle, you drop that stuff off, and that's, or go to the oceans.
I mean, it was a great day. So we went to a cenote, which is very healing.
Yeah.
We had, at least 2 big jungle walks, and then a walk all night on the beach. We did a couple miles on the beach yesterday in Tulum, and so.
And your back feels great.
My back feels great. There's still a little bit of residual, and I want to stretch it out and get my sacrum to move.
Right, just do your fascial maneuvers. No more stretching. Stretching is tearing muscles in the. Ever since we put stretching into professional sports, injuries have gone up 7,000%. And the reason why is because muscles work in rotation. And when we stretch, it's linear. And if you're linearly tearing a muscle, you're linearly tearing a muscle when it's supposed to be stretched in rotation. That's why a fascial maneuver is a rotational movement, and it's using air, oxygen to push pressure.
Can you talk a little bit about what you were saying about the lower back? Because a lot of people have lower back pain, and the older you get, and people are saying you gotta work your core, and then explain the belly button twist.
So think about the belly button.
To release the sacrum, which...
Think about the belly button. What's the belly button? It comes from the mother. It's a umbilical cord that goes in, and as the baby's forming, it goes into the base of the spine, and that belly button goes up all the way to the brain. And when a baby's forming in the first 6 weeks, there's 2 nerve clusters. One's the brain, one's the intestines. But it comes right through the belly button. So as you get older, when you cut the umbilical cord, that connection didn't go away inside of you. It's still there. As you get older, it starts to contract. And as it contracts, it causes compression of the lower back. That's why the belly button trauma release is the most effective, and the belly button on torque. And because the other part too is our digestion is going 24/7, and it's going in a clockwise fashion. And when we unwind the belly button in a counterclockwise fashion, it gives that digestion a break. So it's like resetting a spring, because that's what your organs. It's kind of like a snake moving through it. It's using diaphragmatic pressure, and it's moving it through like a snake. And then when you reset it, it resets it. So the lower back issues quite often are just tight umbilicus, and that causes them all the way through to the sacrum and then the lower back, and it starts to pull the sacrum down under, which then flexes and straightens the lower back. So, and from somebody who's been adjusting people mechanically for years, you adjust
a chiropractor?
Well, I'm not a licensed chiropractor, but I practice chiropractic. I mean, I've been adjusting people for the last 12 years, and what I realized is you just keep adjusting. It's the same thing over and over again. But what we're doing is changing the fascial connections, reducing the tension. Because when I was doing your umbilicus earlier, all of a sudden the whole area in the lower back around the lumbar back just loosens up.
And you can see it. Again, at 58 years old, I have these 2 pressure points right at my quadratus laborum. It's like tissue. It's just
contracted, yeah. Dehydrated and contracted.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been feeling it recently. This last 6 or 7 months, I've been waking up with lower back pain, and I've never had lower back pain. So, and I'm sure if I was a doctor kind of guy, they would have been selling me that surgery, boy, oh boy. And so,
there's a belief that
luckily I don't go to the doctor. Luckily, I'm my own doctor.
Yeah. There's a belief that it's to do with age. It's to do with dehydration, compression, and constriction. And either it's, the dehydration holds more emotions in the body, the emotions constrict more, and it's death by 1,000 cuts. All of these things are just components that add up over time. And they all respond to one thing, your fascia. So you can do everything else and not address the fascia directly, and you will always be chasing it around. Or you can deal with the fascia and let your body figure out how to organize itself around that.
So here we are.
So, Troy, there's a question here. So now that you've been through this experience, how are you going to change your daily habits moving forward? Or, what's that perspective look like for you?
Well, I'm going to, like anything that I do, I'll be doing the fascial maneuvers consistently. Just what I've gleaned. So it wasn't like I really took a class, but I've talked to you ladies as well, and then Garry worked on me. I'm going to be doing the totally twisted and the other one, anti-gravity, the bend over one, and the organ twist and the psoas release kind of thing.
And those are the primary movers. Those are the big moving movements.
Yeah, and it's and this is the way I've learned, even Qigong. I've been doing Qigong for 13 years. I learned some rudimentary moves. Sometimes I do it more than others. The way I feel right now, spring chicken, less aches and pains. I mean, I like that. Anything that makes me feel like spring chicken, fasting, stuff like that, qigong, then I do more. And so
That's what fascial maneuvers make me feel younger.
yeah.
Honestly, I was feeling really old when the pandemic came, and you can see it in my pictures, my photos. I didn't move. You know, movement is life, and typically as we get older, we move less. But that's not the way human beings are designed. That's just the way we currently architecture. 90-year-olds moved really well 50 years ago. Today, they don't move worth shit.
Yeah, and I gotta move every day. I mean, I enjoy riding my bike, so anything, like I feel amazing right now in my body. And so there's still a little soreness in my lower back. But I don't feel arthritic.
Yeah, it changes the whole narrative of arthritis, doesn't it?
I feel more energetic. I feel excited to go to Beyond and do more deeper spiritual work.
Which is, by the way, that's a cool center. I really like what they do, and I see a lot of them.
And then you're going to be over there tomorrow teaching another thing, so I get more exposure. And the purpose of me coming down here was to immerse myself in the experience. A lot of you keyboard warriors out there want to argue with me like, Yeah, have you ever tried it? Have you actually gone in and invested time and energy? And then for me, everything's about integration. You know, words on paper or watching a video, you know, that's somebody else's experience. I'm gonna have my own personal experience, and then reporting live from planet Earth, I'll come back and tell you guys, you know, what's going on in my body and my mind. You guys are gonna see it because I'm on camera almost every day.
It's a very experiential, fascial maneuvers is very experiential. Like, I can explain it to you all day long, there's no way to get what you feel. There's no way to explain it.
And Garry, can I ask, when you're working with someone like Troy, what's the experience for you? Like, what's the emotional exchange that goes on for you when you work with someone?
Well, I mean, going back to, I see every person that comes in my field as a reflection of me somehow. Mm-hmm. So I've had the opportunity to spend time working with Troy, and I look at and say, well, there's somewhere in Troy and his experience is a part of me. And I can identify a lot of those parts. And so when I'm working with Troy, I'm working on me. I don't see it as I'm a practitioner healing anybody. That idea is what got me into trouble physically in my body and emotionally. And I'm here to learn about myself, and you've been a good part of this journey.
Yeah. And a part of the team, it's been beautiful to watch you guys working together, because, you know, that's what I've seen happen. There's been a beautiful exchange of information and emotion, and, you know, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because, and I think that's what happens. One of my business coaches says that, you know, high-level people, your water is your gold. So I don't even think we're working.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm just living and exploring. That's what it feels like.
And then in retrospect, and I look back and like my day yesterday, because I had big hopes and dreams. You could yeah, and you know, I want to go here and I want to go there, and I wasn't doing that. I was sick as a dog and then yesterday I experienced it all in one day, and
it's a different experience because when you remove all the restrictions in your body, it removes the restrictions in your life, and then it's easier to get through. You have a more rich experience. Even food tastes different.
So Garry, how can people come and do sessions with you, or can they book appointments with you?
We don't. The reason why that he's here, there's two people that come here. It's people that are in our 28-day reset that go through our lifestyle artist program who are coaches. I mean, honestly, there are tens of thousands of people that try to get in. I've spent my time helping people who help people. Troy helps a lot of people, and that's why Troy is here. Doing a session for you isn't going to do anything for you if you don't have the skills and the discipline it'll actually hurt you. So I know you think it's going to work better, but it's not. Like when I take
like if you had left me hanging a couple of days ago, I would have been sick as a dog, and then the psychological aspects around that, and maybe put two and two together, maybe blamed it all on that, like that practitioner, shit, he fucked me up, you know. It could have been a myriad of different psychological aspects, But in retrospect, that was very deep work,
Yep.
and it was specialized, and
you got to
I
ask
was
other
able
people, too.
I was able to handle it as well. I mean,
You have a different, you're already working on yourself. And you're working on yourself every day. If someone comes in and they haven't done anything, they want us to work on them, it's never going to work good. That's the beginning of the end of the disaster. So people have to work on themselves consistently over a period of time before we're even willing to touch them. And that is successful. But if you do all of this stuff to help yourself. So you can put reference around it. You can ask other people and draw good conclusions. You believe in the body's ability to heal. Some of these people are still struggling with their belief in their ability of their body to work. And that's where the problem really is.
okay, wrapping it up. So what's next for you, Gary? You got some retreats.
This year is about meeting people. I mean, we built 3.5 million people online, and we got 20 million people around the world doing this. This year we're going out to meet people. We're going to do, it looks like 3 events in North America. We were doing these little pilot events, but we're probably going to come back to LA and do an event which would be like 5,000 to 7,000 people. And we'll probably do the same thing in Austin, roughly around the same, and maybe one in New York. We're working on those dates. We haven't settled it out yet. And then from there, we're working on helping retreats and resorts convert their organization over to running programs like this, which means they have to be fully organic. They have to have somebody installed that runs a program that knows how it works. So that's what we're currently doing this year. And
So organic and lifestyle, and holistic lifestyle is a critical component of this work.
yeah, I mean, otherwise you're better off not to do it. I mean, I really mean that, because what you're going to do is put your body into a detox mechanism. You keep going, jamming Starbucks back up to your body after you start doing work like this, you're going to have a problem. It's, you will pay the price, because when your body decides it wants to heal, it's going to make healing its priority. That means anything that's not healing. Like if I have a poison and I keep taking it, the body finds a way to work around it. But then if I open it up to heal, and I continue to put that poison back in, the body will fight you. It will literally take you down.
Oh, I know that fight. That's why I avoid gluten like the plague, because I'll have a food hangover for 4 days minimum.
Yeah.
If I mess with gluten. So
I can't, and I can eat that stuff today. I just choose not to anymore. Yeah. For me, it doesn't even register as something I want to eat anymore.
Amazing. So it's 11:05. We got Raw Reality coming up.
Okay.
Do you want to go off and come back on, or do you want to just continue
Yeah, why don't
on?
we just go off and we'll disconnect and we'll come back up with. Is it Wednesday?
It's Wednesday. It's Raw Reality today.
Holy shit! It is Wednesday. Okay.
all right, guys, signing out. Troy Casey from Planet Earth with Gary from Human Garage and all the peoples here.
Check us out.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be reporting live from Beyond later on today.
Amazing.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes. And yeah, Fred is Wednesday. It's Raw Reality. Raw Reality Wednesdays.
You're still on.
Oh,
No.
we're still on.
Oh, there we go. All right. No.
Okay,
Going up.
I'll just turn the cameras around and do it right
Yep.
here.
Oops. I gotta
So,
stop.
Garry, let you read.